How have you learned to block out that white noise? And what advice would you give to other people? Because I would imagine you have to have, this clarity of goal and focus, but it's a lot easier said than done when the voices get louder, to block them out. What advice would you give to others in terms of at least how you've approached it?
For me, sometimes I turn off the comments and I try not to read them. Sometimes if I post a picture or a tweet or whatever it is, afterwards, I kind of just shut the app out and see what happens. And I also have a really great team that follows me on social media. And if they see anything maybe going sideways, they'll say, okay, Simone, take that down, or that's going great. Keep being a voice, because people are really enjoying and interacting with that. But other than that, I also feel like a lot of the people, they want to see your downfall. So at the end of the day, in my head, I just tell myself, like, walk a day in my shoes and see how hard it is. Although I love the life that I live in, I'm very blessed and I'm grateful. But those can get to you sometimes. But at the end of the day, it's like my family is surrounding me, my friends, and I have a great support system. So it always helps me block it out.
I remember being like so embarrassed and like ashamed of times where I felt like I would come up short. And it wasn't until I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I messed up. And I owned it and I like wore it, and it was my trophy, and it was something I wore really proudly because it led me to the next thing. And I was better because of it, because I made sure I learned. And I think a lot of times I would pretend it didn't happen, and then it would happen again, and I'd be like, I don't understand what's going on. But I wasn't learning my lesson. And it was like when I learned my lesson, I learned from it. And that's when I was like, oh, I won't make the same mistake again.
Just because I, step onto the field and put a jersey on, that doesn't mean I'm not who I am. And just because I, step off the field and take the jersey off doesn't mean I'm not an athlete either. To me, I feel like we need to, use the talents and the skills and the powers that we have to make the world a better place in whatever way we can be most effective. And for me, I was, born with this amazing talent in being an athlete. And so how do I leverage that off of the field? Clearly on the field, I'm trying to, be the best player that I can, and reach my potential. And I think off the field, I'm trying to do that as well. And, unfortunately for female athletes, for women, for gay women, for marginalized people, we aren't always afforded the opportunity or the landscape to reach our potential. Oftentimes there's roadblocks and barriers. And so I feel like, as important as it is for me to do everything I can to be the best player, I also feel that it's important for me to do that off of the field. And so if there's a barrier in the way, then I think I just kind of have to bust it down. And then, to extend beyond myself, obviously we live in a country that, loves its sports, certainly loves its American athletes, is probably a little bit too obsessed with celebrity. But how do I leverage all of that for good? I'm finding myself in a position with the microphone, or, winning awards, or being able to speak to people, or having people that are listening to me. So I feel a responsibility to, do what I can with what I have to try to make the world better in whatever way, I'm able to.